say I said yes to 7 other dentist offices, you might sink the ship by growing too fast. Like I like to say, I like to grow at the speed of God. And so before I make a decision, like I'm going to pray about it. My name is Trey Pruitt. I own a media business called Honey Rock Media, and we help local businesses, when I say local, that's Clarksville, help local businesses create social media content, website content, so photography, videography for local businesses, and we also help them a little bit with social strategy and putting that out there, help them grow organically on social media with a little bit of ads too.
Before you ever had a camera in your hand, like what was that moment like, I'm gonna own my own business one day?
So I've always been pretty like entrepreneurial. When I got out of college, I played at Austin P. So I played college football at Austin P. And then when I got out of college, I immediately started real estate. And so entrepreneurial from the get-go. I was on some amazing teams, real estate teams. And then when my wife got pregnant, fast forward a little bit, when my wife got pregnant, I kind of was just like, I think I need a change of pace. I was working a lot of hours in real estate, which comes with anything. Like there is no real fix to that. Like I'm working a lot of hours right now as a business owner, but I think it's all I've ever known. So I almost thought like the grass would be greener on the other side. And then I went to work I actually took a step back. We had some rental properties. So my wife and I was on one end, I was a realtor, and I was helping people buy and sell homes. And then we got into investing as well. So we had bought a townhome in downtown Clarksville. We lived in it. We were house hacking. We had a roommate. And then we flipped a house as well. And then we moved out of that townhome, bought the house we live in now, turned that into a rental. So like we were getting into the real estate investing game, which was awesome. And then I was just kind of like, I think I need to change of pace. So we sold the rental property, and I decided I was going to like go look for a job. Didn't know what it was. And I tried starting several things. I took like 8 or 9 months off, and we lived off of that money that we got from the rental property. And I had a friend who was working for a company called 615 Media. And I was just like, all right, I got to find something now. So I just dropped what I was doing. I called him and I was like, I have no idea if I'm even good with a camera. I'd never touched a camera, like ever. And I interviewed with 615 Media, and they were like, so why should we hire you? And I'm like, yo, I don't know anything about camera work, but I come from the real estate world, and they did real estate photography and videography. So I was like, I know like the product that needs to be put out there because I know what I wanted as a realtor. So like I sold them on the I was a realtor vibe. So like, even though I don't know how to operate the camera, I'll at least I know what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So so worked for 615 Media. That was at the beginning of 2025, maybe. What are we in? Yeah, so I started, that was at the beginning of 2025. So first time I ever touched a camera was, I think, March of 2025. So it's been like 1 year I've ever been operating a camera. And then when I was working for them, that kind of entrepreneurial spirit kicked back up in me. And I had a sit-down conversation with my boss there and was just like, I actually have found a passion with the camera. And I think I want to start my own media business back in Clarksville. And he was amazing. I still talk to him today. He coaches me through some things, and he was all for it. And then I started Honey Rock Media in the fall of 2025 after only operating a camera for like 6 months, maybe.
Wow. So, yeah. Take me back. Do you remember like the first video you made?
The first video I made, or the first time I shot for 615 Media?
You made for yourself, like the first video you ever made for yourself. Like take me back to that moment, and it's like, where you're like, oh, this is the best thing ever. You're like, guys, look at this. Like, what was that like for you?
All right. So I had shot with the camera, but I had never edited. So with 615 Media, we turned our footage in. Like I was just the photographer, videographer. And then we turned our footage into the team, and they had editors. So when I started my media company, I had never edited a video. And so I got my first client. it actually was AG Mowing, who I was filming for today.
Yeah.
They might not know that. So yeah, that was the first video I ever did for you guys. They asked me to film some ads. The first paid. I'd done like a couple free ones just to kind of get my feet wet. And so they hired me to shoot a couple ads for their other side of their business, which was Christmas lights. And I'll never forget, I had downloaded Adobe Premiere, and I was like, all right, you have no idea what you're doing. And I sit down at the computer, I have the footage, and I was just like, YouTube. So I went straight to YouTube and was like, I mean, I was looking things up, like how to pull your footage into the timeline. Like, how do I pull I mean, it's kind of like code a little bit. Like when you get into some of these editing softwares, like if you don't know about it, it's a little bit like code. Mm-hmm. So I was like, what does this mean? What is a Gaussian blur? What is a cross dissolve? What is, like, how do I do captions? Like literally everything. And so I kind of just went to social media and was like, what are other people putting out there? And then I would see something that was done, and then I would put into YouTube, like, how do I make the camera zoom out really quick in Premiere Pro? You know?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget. I mean, that took me like honestly a full day probably to just sit down and make that video, going back and forth. It's like 20-second video, 30-second video, but every piece of it I was having to go straight to YouTube for.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit tough, but put it together.
Yeah. You talked about, that's funny. You talked about how, like, you started on YouTube University, and it's funny because that's how I started, was like, I do everything, and it's YouTube University. I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Well, YouTube. And it's like, I think it's, where does that like resourcefulness, come from in you?
So I actually said this to a client the other day, and it comes from, I don't know if it's a book or if I heard it on a podcast, but like, everything is figure outable. And so I kind of go, the way I go into things is like, I have a vision of what I want the final product to look like. And even if I don't know how to get it there, I can just be resourceful and look things up, ask people, figure out how to do this, how to do that, as long as I get to that final product. So even today, when businesses ask me, can you do this? I just say, I don't know, but I'm sure I can figure it out. And I think that kind of comes from sports a little bit. When I was at Austin Peay playing football, I mean, we always said, we always, I mean, everything, every step of the way. It's just, in sports, you're like, I don't know what the outcome's going to be, but I know what I want it to be. And now we just got to figure out how to get there. And so I think there is a fine line, though, because sometimes I can get into analysis paralysis as well, and be like, all right, I know what I want to get to. That looks very tough. Before I say yes, I'm going to try to analyze it. And if you overanalyze, then you'll just end up saying no a lot of times, because you're like, there's no way I can figure this out. But I also think that's where being a service first and giving type of person comes into play, because it's like, hey, yeah, let's say yes to this. But then in our line of work, it's not like concrete where like you mess it up, it's like, oh man, that's a big mess up. It's like, hey, this video really, I couldn't figure it out. So there is a little bit of leniency to where it's like, I couldn't really figure this out, so like, maybe I'll give you a discount or try again or something like that. Like, you can do do-overs in this industry, as opposed to, you screw up someone's roof, you screw up someone's roof. You know what I mean? It's
where do you talked about how like it kind of comes from a place like serving and helping. Like, what is that? Like, I guess why do you think you want to serve and help?
I'm actually glad you asked this, because I think, especially through having a child and being married, and just, I'm 27 years old, so I'm not going to say like getting older, because a lot of people will say, oh, you're so young. But as I get older, I have just realized that I actually have a lot of selfish tendencies. And so when I say things like service, I have to actually actively work at being of service to people. So, for example, when someone asks me to do something for them, or say I notice someone needs help, my brain automatically goes to, I don't have the time, I don't have the capacity, or I just don't want to do that right now. And like knowing that about myself, I think since I've had a child, it's really helped me to understand that about myself and look for moments to, okay, when my brain and my flesh is telling me, hey, don't take the time to help that person. Don't take the time to go the extra mile. Don't take the time to, whether it's just give them a compliment or actually give them a helping hand or do something for them. I think also through my faith, it's just helped me to say, okay, when my flesh is saying one thing, honestly, I probably just need to do the opposite, even if it doesn't feel like I should. But in doing the opposite, once you come out the other end, you're like, all right, that's what I needed to do. So
yeah, it's funny. Well, two things. Like I have a kind of a story to relate on like serving, but also it's interesting. Like you see every big business, like the most successful business is the one who makes a lot of money. A lot of people look up at those people and they're like, man, like they're so big. Like I don't want to be that big or make that much money or do a lot of that stuff. But it's like you have to realize they're serving more people. It's like the reason that they have more money is because they've made more service and bigger impact through serving. It's like you affect more people, you serve more people, you'll get more of a result. Because it's like, but making sure your client or your audience, whatever is at the forefront, first at the center and the focus of serving them best. It's interesting. Like, you probably know the parable of the Good Samaritan. And I kind of lived that out a little bit on how, well, I guess in the story of the Good Samaritan, like obviously, so you have the man who's beaten and he's left on the side of the road. And then a Levite comes, sees him, passes on the other side of the road. Then a priest comes, sees him, passes on the other side of the road. And then the Good Samaritan, who didn't get along, like was kind of his enemy. And he stopped and he helped. And I have a story of like, there was a time I was driving to work and I saw there was a lady that was crawling on the side of the road. She was actually crawling on the side of the road and it looked like she was injured or something. Like I remember her face of agony. And I was like, I gotta help. I gotta help this person. And then all of a sudden the flesh started like, well, you don't have much time. You're late for work. Like there's nowhere to park. Like, someone else would probably stop and help. Like all of these started to just flood my mind. And it came to the point where it was like, I just drove by and it was like, I could have served someone who may have had nothing to give back, but I could have served them. And that it was like a burden in me for a long time. And then eventually come Christmas Eve, I was driving home from work and I received a text from my dad that said, take a U-turn on a certain road. And I was like, what is he talking about? So I called him up. I was like, I saw you texted me. What's going on? He's like, I didn't send that text. He was like, something was wrong with my phone and it sent a message. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And so I just kept driving. And eventually as I'm driving like 5 minutes later, I see a broken car on the side of the road. And there's a man in a wheelchair with one leg. There's a lady on the front and they have the hood open and there's some people in the car I see. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like I need to help them. And then I'm like, wait a minute. It's like 10 o'clock at night. Like, I don't know who else is really in the car. I don't know if it's not wise. I'm by myself. Like, this is a weird situation for me. I'm like, what's the wisest decision? And I'm like, should I turn around? Should I turn around? And then I go past the light and I don't. And then all of a sudden, like my mind, I'm remembering this moment of my dad texting me. And I'm like, shoot, this is that road. I'm like, oh my goodness, like this can't be a coincidence that my dad sent a message that he said he didn't send. And like there was a person I wanted to help on that road. And so I was coming to the next light. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn around. I got over. I looked over, I turned at the road and I was like, this is that road. And awesome. I turned around, I went, stopped and got over. And they were like, I was like, how can I help? How can I serve? Like, what do you guys need? And they're like, well, some other guy stopped. He's going to help us with something with our battery and blah, blah, blah. I was like, is there anything I can do? He's like, no, it's okay. I was like, there's got to be something. And so I go back to my car and I had like some slippers that I got because this was, I guess, the day after Christmas Eve. Got an early gift, and I went in the back. They had 2 kids in the car. I gave them one, and then I'm like, was there anything else I can do? And then I was like, y'all have Cash App, something. And then I just gave them what I have. But like, it was the point of like that servant hearted. And it's like being able to serve somebody, even if they can't serve you back. And it's like, that's having a servant heart is like so important and vital, especially as a business, is putting them first. And it's like, not just there to collect money, but you're there to help them reach their goals. You're there they can obtain what they want to obtain. They can be visually seen how they want to be seen and be able to make their dreams come to life and by serving them. So it's really interesting that like you kind of point on that servant.
Dude, I've got 2 things with that. So
yeah.
I'll start with like what you just said. Probably if we could play it back. One word that you said more than anything in that whole story was stop. So Jesus had to stop.
Yeah.
And then you said, I was driving and I had to stop.
Yeah.
And so I think that points to being a servant. Why it's so hard is because we're all on a mission. We're all driving down a certain road. We're all going somewhere. We're all walking somewhere.
Yeah.
And Jesus was walking somewhere. He was going somewhere. He was on a mission. But anytime that we're called to help someone, we have to stop. And I think that's what hurts, because we live in a world that's just hustle, 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 go, go, go. And so the first thing that comes to mind when we think of serving people is, oh, this is going to take my time. I'm going to have to stop in the middle of whatever mission I'm doing. If I'm, in my house, right? Say that I'm working on something around the house, but I notice that my wife needs a little bit of help with something. It's like I have to stop in the middle of my mission in order to kind of take a right turn, help someone else.
Yeah.
And then, correct course, get back on my mission. And I think that's the selfless part of it. So if I could say anything, it's like I constantly have to remind myself to stop and slow down in a world that's just fast paced in every direction, And then 2, it reminded me of a story. One of the most selfless people I know he's actually one of my clients. His name is Trevor Hartz. He owns 3 Hearts Roofing. And dude, he's just always looking to help people. I've never met anyone that wants to help someone so much. And I was talking to him the other day. The way that I've set up my business model is a little bit more exclusive. So in one way, like I said, I've noticed in myself I have selfish tendencies, but in another way, I also overextend myself when it comes to helping a lot of times. And so the way that I've structured my business model is a little bit more exclusive, and it's a little bit less spread out over the course of a ton of businesses. And it's like, okay, we actually help one business in each industry, and then we start a wait list in that industry. And that's how we have it right now. And that's honestly so I don't overextend, because once I noticed this about myself, I did a 180 and started helping so many people that then I started getting spread thin, and therefore I honestly wasn't helping anyone. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I had to look at it like, okay, if I help Trevor in 3 Hearts, I was having this conversation with him because he's a very helpful person. And he had kind of asked me a question about that. And I said, yes, I want to help more people. But the way that I look at it is, Trevor, if I'm able to help you to the best of my ability and focus on you, and you're helping people, I'm vicariously through you helping more people. If I can help you help more people, I'm not just helping you. I'm getting your word out there, your mission out there. And, right, say he brings me on and he's only doing, for I don't know how many roofs he does a month, but say he does 20 roofs a month. But through the marketing we help them with, if he's able to touch more lives and do 60 roofs a month and help 60 more homeowners get a new roof, or, pray with them or whatever it might be, it's like, okay, I might not have been directly helping those people, but vicariously through him, I was able to help more people by focusing on helping him instead of spreading myself too thin. And so I think it's important to, when we look at service and help, it's like, okay, there's more than one way. Like it doesn't just have to be direct help. You can help others. It's like butterfly effect. You know what I mean? I think, is that a butterfly effect?
It's like a butterfly. Yeah.
Okay.
I see it like as like a snowball effect. Snowball effect. There you go. Yeah. Like it's like a tree. You created a solution that solves their problem, but that's also solving other people's problem, because it's just, and that's amazing. You talked about a little bit on, so it's like one in each industry, you do one person, one client in that industry. And when I think of it, it's almost like they're at a premium, because it's like they don't have to worry about you like going to a real estate agent. It's not like, oh, he's going to go get another real estate agent. And he's just like, what if that real estate agent's content's better? Or like, what if he helping them the same? Like, how am I going to stand out? But it's like, you're selecting just that one individual in the industry. And it's like, we're going to make you the best in your industry.
Can I tell you why I do that?
Yeah. Why do you do that?
Multiple reasons. So multiple reasons I do that. So we work exclusively with one business in each industry because, one, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I never touched a camera until just over a year ago. I'm still learning to edit. I'm constantly learning. I'm getting faster. I'm getting better. But if I do that because I don't want to spread myself thin. So that's number one, is like to protect the work that I'm doing in order to make sure that I give good quality work to these people. If I took on too much work at once, then it would probably be like not that good of quality. I would be editing until the wee hours of the night, which I am sometimes anyways. But so that's number one. Number two is like, I want people's work to stand out. So in a lot of these industries, if you start putting work out for someone, then the other ones start reaching out, which great. That would mean more money for us. That's the business. The business is like, okay, great. The more money I can make. Like that's what we think a lot of times as business owners. But I actually like my work being a little bit more valuable, maybe in a sense that like, I don't want to water down their work. Like they're paying a lot, they're paying a lot of money for media. And then if everyone starts having it, then they're naturally going to want to go somewhere else because they want their media to be different. And so it's like, it makes it special to them. But then at the same time, it keeps me as the media business, it keeps our work valuable as well. Because it's almost like, oh, not everyone has it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it like keeps the value of your work up a little bit when you offer a little bit more exclusivity. And then it also just helps with not driving you into the ground, right? Like if I said yes to say I brought on a dentist office I'm working with through New Dental, say I said yes to 7 other dentist offices, well, that's honestly more time that it's like you grew super, super fast, but now you might kind of sink the ship by growing too fast. Like I like to say, I like to grow at the speed of God. And so before I make a decision, like I'm going to pray about it. And it's like, I think I've always been a fast mover. And so it's actually hard for me to show that restraint. Will we always do that exclusivity? I don't know. I mean, but I know right now, like we couldn't take on more work right now, So we kind of just like try to manage our workload to keep the quality up and also not overwork ourselves so that I can actually spend time doing the things that are important in life, being with family, spending time with friends, serving others, being with our church family, all that sort of stuff. It's like, that's the kind of stuff I neglected in the past a little bit when I was in real estate. And so I kind of just turned that around and put those guardrails on my business from the beginning, because once I saw it starting to grow really, really fast, I was just like, yo, wait a minute. I'm going to fall back into some old habits here if I don't put some guardrails on. So it's kind of like a multi-functional reason that I do that.
Yeah. I think.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think I like what you said. I guess tell me more about, like you talked about, like you don't want to run yourself dry. And I think there's an aspect of that business owners, it's like you got to be driven. Typically you're driven, be a business owner. It's like you got to take initiative and you got to do all these things. And it can be easy to run yourself dry at times. I know, like for myself, it can be easy as well. I think if you speak more into that of like the importance of not running yourself dry, and you said at your previous job that like you kind of struggle with that a little bit, running yourself dry. Can you speak more into that?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm naturally like a workaholic, and yeah, I'm naturally a workaholic. Like even right now, there's times where I'm just constantly wanting to learn and expand and grow. And so I might spend too much time studying or learning new editing tricks or doing things, and I always want to grow and be better, not just for myself, but for my clients, for my family, for the people around me in my life. The question was, hang on, you said
speak more into like the import, like you talked about not running yourself dry.
Mm-hmm.
And like, why is that important? Like, how'd that happen with you?
Okay. Yeah. So, it actually helped like becoming a creative, right? The business that I did before being a real estate agent, it was serving other people, helping them buy houses, sell houses. But, it was kind of like contract work as opposed to now I'm more creative. And I quickly realized like, if you run yourself dry trying to be a creative person, your creativity is going to like drop. Like, it's better for myself and my clients if I take a break and spend an evening outside grilling out with the family, having friends over, doing that sort of stuff, because that's where inspiration comes from. Plus, I just don't understand, like, it's so crazy how today's society is set up. It's like we work so hard for this like goal of having more time. Yet once you get to the next level, you just work even more and work even more. It's like, when does it stop a little bit? And so I think that you kind of just have to look at it every day and say like, if I don't fill my cup up with reading the word, if I don't fill my cup up with family, if I don't fill my cup up with the things that I enjoy doing, then I can't overflow onto anyone else. And my creativity level is going to be like down here, and I'm not going to want to show up. Like, I see that in myself. Like, when I need to refill, it's like I'm a better human. I was stressed the other day when I was at one of my shoots, and I was actually talking to my client about it. And then I went in there today, and it's same client, and I was just like, I got some sleep. I feel good. I've been with family, and I was firing on all cylinders from my perspective. Like, my photos were better, my videos were better, like everything, like the creative juices were flowing. And so I think that can kind of go with anything in life. It's just a priority list. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you put first?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. You mentioned like the one thing, about like, I don't know if you said businesses or people like working more to have more time. And I found myself, it was a couple weeks ago, like I was thinking, I was like, okay, if I can reach here, then I'll be like, that would be great. If I can reach this level. And it was funny because there was a guy that he was like kind of where I want to be. He was like, I was like, I would be really awesome if I was just where this guy was. And I was talking to him, and it was like, he was trying to be somewhere else. And like there was this goal, this distance in the distance of like where he was trying to be, and like he was still the same thing. It was to have more time, like get to this place, have more time with your kids, and in this place like where you can just rest, and it's like you don't have to work so hard. And it was interesting because I'm like, I want to be, I'm getting this feeling I want to be where he is, then he wants to be where this person is, and I'm like, so if I get to where he is, will I be chasing another goal or looking to something else, or like, will I actually be content? And I was thinking to myself, and I was like, contentment starts with where I'm at right now. And it's like, I think when I say that, it comes to mind, it's been on my mind recently a lot about those that are faithful with little will be entrusted with much. And if I'm content with where I'm at, it's like, like there's seasons, and there's seasons of imbalance of like not having time, but it's like, if I'm content, I'm doing my best where I'm at, and it's like I can still pursue this goal, but that's not like, the whole objective is not just pursuing the goal, it's like being present, because otherwise you'll miss where you're at right now. You'll miss, like, you have a daughter, you have a wife, and it's like that time is so special for you to spend with them. And it's like, if you're working so hard that you lose all that time with them, then what was the point? What was the point of working so hard with them, for them, if you never were there for them?
Yeah. It's like you blink and then it's over with, and you're like, here's the point that I said I wanted to get to, but then you get to that point and then in the moment's over.
Yeah.
Almost. No, I like that. It's a race that we all run. Like, I'm very forward thinking and being optimistic about the future, but also worrying about the future. And yeah, I mean, I think as a business owner, you were talking about how you had your friend who's at this point, you're like, if I want to get to that point, but then he had someone who wants to be there. One thing I've learned in hiring Jake, who's awesome, and I'm so glad he's here, because he's so creative, and he brings this other side. It's like another side of me, and like, I'm learning from him, he's learning from me. It's one of the coolest things, hiring someone. It's the first time I've ever hired anyone. And so but one thing that I've learned, and even talking to other business owners, it's like, okay, a lot of people hire because it's like, I want to get time back. Like, that's the thought. And so when you hire someone, you start giving them tasks, they start working with you, but all you've really done is, like, now you've just kind of shifted your tasks, problems, solutions, like, in a different direction. It's like, before I was more worried about, like, getting the work done. Now I have someone to help me get the work done, and now I'm more worried about making sure there's enough work to help provide for this person that I've now hired. It's like, the problems don't go away, they just get bigger, or they shift, and it's like a different paradigm. So it's interesting. It's like, yeah, I've talked to several business owners about it, and it's like, kind of like the idea of leaving your 9 to 5 to start a business, and now you work 24/7. You know what I mean? It's like, man, I left my 9 to 5 so I could start a business, and now I just work 24/7. Yeah, being a business owner is hard. It is. And it's like, yeah, now hiring someone, it's like also great accountability though too.
How has hiring Jake, like, been a factor in also, like, not running yourself dry?
How has Jake been a factor in not running myself dry?
Not like overworking, or like, and how's it even, like, helped your clients in being able to hire and expand?
It adds another level of creativity, and he works hard. And so, like, yesterday we were able to knock out an entire client monthly content, for like an entire month's worth of content for them. And I'll never forget, I was sitting there and I was just thinking, I just finished this video, and then I would have been starting the next one, but Jake was finishing that one. And it was kind of a cool feeling to be like, man, I would have just been starting that video that he's just now finishing, and now we're able to deliver that. And dude, honestly, the best thing is accountability. Like, it's easy when you have your own business and you're the only one working on it to not wake up on time, to show up late, to say, I've got to get this done today. But then you're just like, oh man, things go sideways and you end up doing something else. But it's like, when you have someone else that you're leading, I mean, there ain't none of that. It's like, I've got to show up. I've got to do what I said. Even when we talk about, like, upgrading equipment, like, when it was just me, I would have procrastinated on upgrading equipment, right? I would have been like, I don't really need to upgrade equipment, because it's just me. But now when I tell someone that I'm going to do something, I'm a man of my word. And so, like, if I say, hey, we're going to get that, it's like, shoot, I've now told someone, like, verbally that I'm going to do something. And so then I'm like, I order it. I mean, you can ask Jake. It's kind of funny. Like, we've ordered, like, several things recently. And it's just like, I come in every day with something new for him, almost, it seems like. And I say that to say just the that to me is accountability, because I'm a big proponent on, when you, like, say something, following through, whether it's to someone else or to yourself. That's how trust is built, whether it's with someone else or with yourself. If I tell myself that I'm going to wake up at a certain time in the morning, if I do that, I just built trust in myself. If I end up not doing that, then I just like chiseled off a piece of trust that is like, man, I just lost a little bit of trust in myself. And then that directly correlates with self-confidence. So the more times you tell yourself you're going to do something and then you don't follow through with that, your self-confidence starts to drop. And so I think that ultimately hiring, the coolest thing I've recognized is just accountability is awesome. Having someone there with me. But it's also really helped in not running myself dry because I'm able to, I don't find myself editing after my family goes to sleep as much. At the very beginning, it was like, all right, I'm going to go home and I'm be with my family. But then they would go to sleep and I would be like, all right, everyone's asleep. I've got to edit. Whereas now it's like, all right, say we got 4 videos to do. I'm going to knock out 2. Jake's going to knock out 2. We're getting done before 5 a.m. a little bit more, which is nice. So,
yeah, I think it's funny. Like you mentioned, like editing at how late at night were you editing at times?
Dude, there was nights where like I would look up and it would be like 3:30, to be honest with you, which isn't healthy. But also I found it weird, as I become kind of a creative, like sometimes at night when no one's awake and the phone's not ringing is like, you got to kind of take advantage of those hours sometimes too. But I also try to like listen to my body from the perspective of like, is this me just doing work for the sake of getting work done? Or am I like truly feeling creative in this hour, in this time? If that makes sense. Like, I don't know. Do you ever do that? Do you ever like find that like, okay, maybe it's 9:00 at night and you just get a boost of creativity and you just want to take advantage of it? Or like,
yeah, what? I have found that at like times I'll be like just in the bed or reading or something, and all of a sudden like, whoa. I was like, I got this great idea. Where's my computer? And then I'm like, I'm gonna lose this idea if I don't get it down. I think I had mentioned I saw a video on that, and I'd shared it to my story once, and I had an old coach that like he responded to it, and he was showing me some like scientific studies on like why that happens, and
you get the
why you get like sometimes why you get randomly at night, like, or just random times, like typically at night or like late, and it's like you'll get all these ideas flooding in. And I don't remember all that he said, but I remember the overview was like the amount of silence and free space that you have, that's when it usually comes. And that's why it's usually at night, because a lot of times like you're so busy working throughout the day, and it's like you don't have much silence until you get like at night, late at night. And then it's like your brain has a moment to rest, and then it's like all of a sudden like just something starts flowing in your brain. And he was messaging me, like giving me advice, like, because at first I fully believed that I was like, yeah, usually at late at night, that's when it's gonna hit. Yeah. That's when it's gonna hit. And he was like, well, it's not actually. He was like, it's just based upon the amount of free time and the amount of space that your brain has to think. And it's like, so I've kind of learned sometimes to have just silence time. There was a video I saw, do you know Brian Tracy?
The name sounds familiar. Is
he
an author?
He's an author, motivational speaker.
I read one of his books.
Yes.
Tracy,
I believe
when
it was
on the real estate team. We read a Brian Tracy book.
Yeah, I believe it was Brian Tracy. And I was watching one of his videos, and he was like, sit down for, what did he say? He said, I feel like it was 30 to 60 minutes. He said, most individuals don't sit down in silence for 30 to 60 minutes in their whole life. Like 99% don't. Mm-hmm. And it said, like, practice, just sit down. Just sit down, and like while you're sitting there in silence, like your brain's going to start thinking all these things. You're going to get all these thoughts, and just go through them. And then by the time you get like, it's interesting. It's like about the 30-minute mark, around the 30-minute mark, all of a sudden, like your mind will go silent, and like you might not have any more thoughts. And then a flow of just ideas will just come in your head. And it was interesting how it's like you talk about the busyness, you talked about like not running yourself from the ground, and it's oftentimes like, or it's staying in the present. And I've found that oftentimes it's in the silence, and just enjoying nature. And it's like those times of calm. It's like that's the time you actually have freedom to think and of these new ideas and inspiration, and to be truly creative.
Mm-hmm.
And just, especially for me, is looking at like being in nature. Like I'm just like just seeing the beautiful just creation that God created, and just a reflection of his image, and just seeing that.
That's good.
And but like that, just that silence time, I think is so important.
Like it kind of goes back to like what I was saying earlier with like it's actually better for my clients and myself if I take that time to be with my family. Dude, one thing, it's like I always think about, it's kind of funny. So if my clients are watching this is me telling them that, right? But what I would say is like sometimes I look at my client, if they see me posting something on my personal social, like I'm out in the mountains or I'm out doing something, I get this feeling of they're going to look at that and be like, why is he not working on my video? You know what I mean? It's just a story I tell myself. But one thing I think about all the time is like, no, actually, if you knew that this was good for your video, you know what I mean? Like the fact that I'm out here doing this, if you want good videos, let me go hiking the day before I work on your videos. And I see it, man. Whenever I'm like editing, say I worked on 2 videos that day and it took me just so long, you know, maybe I've strung together like 4 days of editing, and it's like, okay, by the time I get to that 4th day, it's like I just don't even know what to do right now. But then if I go hiking, spend time with family, spend time in silence, it's like I might knock out 4 videos in one day the next day. You know, it's like if I could say something to my clients, it's let me go hiking more. let me not work more, and it's better for you too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. For some reason, I started thinking something you said like sparked it. I remember you told me once, okay, so once a year in your business, you do one thing, one big thing a year. Like tell me more about that. What is that? Why you do it?
Well, all right. So I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So my goal was when I hired someone, which ended up being Jake, once a year, I want to take like a break for a week and go do something hard, like as a team, whether that's just me and Jake, or whether that's like if we invited other friends, even like, I mean, it's open to anything, but I kind of have this idea that I want to do one thing hard together as a team, whether it's one-man team or we end up having 20 employees, whatever it is. I just want to do something together because I think, one, it builds team building and trust and bonding, right? But then 2, I think just like this hard thing, it could be anything. It's like, does the team run a marathon together? Does the team go out to the mountains and do a 12-mile hike together? I think that's mainly for the creative spark, right? Like if we just worked all the time and never spent time outside of work, like actually bonding and doing hard things together, I just think it would be detrimental, you know, if we didn't do that.
Where'd you get that inspiration? Like where'd that come from?
My friend Braden. I have a friend named Braden, and he's the most disciplined man I've ever met. And he holds me accountable in so many areas, in particular like fitness and working out. Like, you know, you just might get a random text from him that just like kind of sets you back a little bit, and you're like, dang, I'm struggling in my health and fitness right now. But he kind of gave me, he loves doing hard things. I'll never forget the first time I ever hung out with Braden. Like when I say the first time I ever hung out with him, I met him. We were like, hey, let's become friends kind of thing, you know? And then we were like, hey, you want to hang out sometime? And then we were like, yeah, let's go to the park and let's do 1 mile of lunges. So it was the first time we ever hung out, and we went and did 1 mile of lunges together, and my legs were like toast. I mean, we ended up getting like 2,000 something lunges in, like 1,000 something. It was a crazy amount of lunges, and so legs were toast. But he's really good at that. I kind of got that inspiration from him, which I'm sure he got it from somewhere else, but like doing something hard. I think it's just getting uncomfortable. Your mind expands a little bit, you know, you push your boundaries, and then I think that just carries over, you know, into the everyday when you're going and you don't feel like stopping or taking the time to help someone, or you don't feel like going the extra mile, it's like you can kind of fall back on the physical things that you've done and push yourself to do, to be like, and this is easy compared to that, you know?
Yeah. When you say that, like back to like helping people, something that comes to mind is there's a quote. It's, I don't know exactly where I stand with it, but it's, they don't care until they know how much you care about them. What does that resonate with you?
They don't care until you, and say it one more time.
Like they don't care about you until they know how much you care about them. I think like as a business owner, like for your clients, like what is that? What comes up? Or is that not true?
No, I feel like it is true. I feel like it is true. And I feel like that's when you also shed the business side of things with people. So like you asked what that meant for my clients. I've become friends with a lot of my clients. And when I feel like they really start to know that I care, isn't, oh, he's taking a few extra photos for us, or, oh, he's helping us out in this, like the business side of things was shed, and then it became a little more personal. And it's like, hey, we're all humans at the end of the day. And I got to know them on an individual level. And just kind of through, you set aside the money, set aside the business, set aside the content, set aside everything. And it's like, let me get to know you and who you are. And my wife and I have become a lot friends with a lot of our clients that is going to go way further than however long they're a client with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, we have dinner with them as friends, and then we film for them as you know, a business. And it's like those two are separate. I actually honestly think it's harder if you think about like caring about someone when it comes to business. There's things you can do, but it's like there's a dividing wall of money. Like there's always the thought of like, are they just doing extra because of the money? Are they just doing extra because of this? And that's why I think it's more of a personal thing, you know, getting to know people on a personal level.
Yeah. I grew up watching, what was it? People's Court a little bit.
What is it?
People's Court. So it's like almost like a reality. It's not reality TV, but it's like reality judge. So it's like real situations of like, whether it's, sometimes it's like a friend and another friend, they did business, someone did something sketchy, and it's like they took them to court. And People's Court is a place like they pay, they're on TV, but it's a real court. And one thing that I always learned from that show that I grew up believing was don't do business with friends and family. And I mean, it's because a lot of times, whether there's not a contract, you know, things are just, you know, laid back. And like, where have you ever heard that?
Yes, I have. And I have mixed feelings on it, you know. I have mixed feelings on it. It's hard because I'm such a trusting guy, to where it's like this is where I think it gets hard sometimes. If you go into business with someone that's a friend, I think, me personally, whenever I go into business with someone that's a friend, I'm like, I don't want to let them down. And then I end up crossing the boundary of like, now I'm becoming a workaholic because I have someone else counting on me. And so then I end up working so hard, and I end up basically hurting my own self, not hurting them. I know it's kind of weird, but I had a business with a friend. I've had multiple businesses with friends, and I've found that I end up crossing my own personal boundaries and working way too much, because it's like, I don't want them to see me as not a good partner. So I end up overworking, and they're probably looking at me like, bro, why is he working so hard? Like right now, like he doesn't have to. So it's kind of interesting. Like, you know, I don't really know the dichotomy, but I'm a huge fan of it at the same time, because I think it takes it, like, you've got to be honest. Like there's no option but to be honest. It's like if I was to start a business with you, it's like you have to separate the two, and you have to say we're friends, and then there's the business side of things. And throughout this whole process, you just have to be crazy honest, which I'm a huge fan of honesty. So, and you got to shut it on and off. And I think that's something that we honestly all need to practice in today's world, is shutting things, emotions, feelings, like being able to shut things on and off is like a powerful tool. Like when I go home from work, it's very hard for me to shut off work. And so that's the actual muscle that you have to work. You know what I mean? If I go hang out with a client outside of work and maybe we're having dinner with them, it's easy to just talk about work all the time and business and what we do together. You know, I mean, if you think about it, all my clients, I'm in business with them. I mean, yes, they hired me, but it's like you're also in business together as well. Every employee you hire, you're in business together. It's like you're all working towards a common goal. So,
yeah,
I don't know if that answered the question. That was kind of jumbled.
No,
I just have a lot of thoughts on it. I don't care either way.
Yeah.
If you work with a friend or family member, if that's for you, great. If you don't, that's great. I like it and I don't like it sometimes. It's like, I don't know. I think it just is a muscle that you have to work.
Yeah. I don't want to go too off track, but like, I guess going more into like the front aspect, it brings up, I think it was Alex Hormonzi or someone who talked about like a lot of times if you're friends with a business owner, you're like, before I go to Alex's quote, a lot of times if like I'm friends with you, then I'm like, yo, can you hook me up with a video, like since we're close, since it's free, which sometimes as a friends relationship, I mean, sometimes, I'll hook you up. But I think a lot of times like family or friends will expect like you to do stuff for them because like we're close, like you give me a discount. And it's funny, Alex Hormonzi had this quote. He said, why not instead of like, you know, shouldn't it be your friends, since you're close, like you pay them the best, or like you make sure they're taken care of. And it's like the people outside that, then you can sometimes give them a discount, or like why are you looking for a discount for the people closest to you? Like you want to make sure they're taken care of.
Yeah, it's a weird dichotomy. Like it seems like even when you're not talking about discount, it's like just like support in general. A lot of times the people that you're closest with, because they've known you growing up and they know all about you, the good and the bad, it's like they almost sit on the sidelines and say, oh, I'm going to see if this works, and then I'm going to hop on the bandwagon whenever I see them have success. Whereas like some of the first people to support you are people you hadn't even known.
Somebody
it's a weird
online.
dichotomy. But yeah, I think it is like a weird phenomenon that like the people closest to us ask for a discount. It's like, hey, are you going to give me a discount because I'm your boy, or you know, your friend, whatever it might be. And it's kind of weird because you are right. It's like you should be like, dude, if you're not going to give me a discount, then I'm just going to go to the other guy. It's like, man, I should be wanting to pay you more. You know, like,
exactly.
If I'm going to give my money anywhere, it's like, let it be the people that are directly in my life. You know?
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is weird. But okay, as a business owner, what's kind of what's one takeaway as a business owner in running a business?
One takeaway, like a piece of advice, or
I guess we'll say, I'll phrase it better. I guess I'll say a piece of advice. Like, what's your best advice running a business?
My best advice running a business. Let me think about that for a second.
Good.
My best advice running a business. I would say my best advice running a business is to lean on other business owners, lean on other people who've done, like, I'm a young business owner, man. There's so many people that have done so much bigger things than me, you know, and it's like leaning on those other people who I know that are in my corner just as human beings, not even as business owners. It's like I have some people that whenever I'm struggling, I'm able to just call them and be like, I'm feeling like giving up today, you know? And I think that's super important, because then when you have those conversations with other people who have done it or who are going through the trenches with you, it picks you up, you know? Like I was feeling down the other day, like, dude, I'm just feeling like I'm working so much. Like my mind is always going. I'm, now have someone that I'm working with also relying on the growth of this company. And I had to call an amazing friend, client, and business partner of mine. I don't know. They're just like everything, just such great friends of ours. Renew Dental, Chris and Danny Gray. I called them and I was like, yo, I'm struggling right now. And to know that they've been in business for however many years they've been in business for, like way longer than I have. They're entrepreneurs. They've, built their business way bigger than I have. And it's like, to know that they're still struggling at that point, it's like, man, this is universal. It's not just me. So I think if I had one piece of advice, the only people I can speak to are probably the people who are looking to start a business, because I'm not going to speak to someone who's owned a business for 50 years because I've never owned a business for 50 years. But if you're looking to start a business, or if you have a young business, it's like find other people who find a mentor, find people who have businesses and talk to them, especially when you're going through it and you're not understanding how to figure something out, because it'll really help fill you back up. Now that's one piece of advice, but ultimately I would pray. That's like the best piece of advice I can give anyone, but that's number one. That's the go-to.
How important has your wife and daughter been in your business?
Gosh, dude, incredibly important. Like, if it wasn't for my wife, my daughter, my daughter is 2 years old. Sure, she's about to turn 2, so she might not completely understand what dad's doing yet, but my wife does. And the selflessness that she has, the selflessness that she has, it fuels me, because I couldn't have asked for a better wife, man. Like it being what she is, and that's a support system to what I'm doing. And she's a mother, and watching her do that, there's times where I'm just like, man, I wish I could focus on the family more. Like that's the goal. We all aspire to be with our families more. And it's like, to see all the amount of hours and time she puts in, like on a daily basis, being with our child. It's like, I often feel for single mothers, single fathers, because I'm like, I genuinely don't know how they do it. That's how important it is to have someone that supports you when you start a business, because she has to be incredibly selfless and loving, and also be okay with risk just as much as I have to be okay with risk, because it's like, if I go out as the man and shoot for this, or if a woman goes out and maybe the dad's staying at home and doing things or has another job, it's like we're taking a risk that doesn't just affect me, it affects our entire family if I fail. So yeah, she's been incredible, man. She helps me with the business. She works overtime being a mom. It's just like, yeah, moms are amazing, wives are amazing. So
what's your favorite Bible verse and why?
Favorite Bible verse, probably I like Ecclesiastes. All of Ecclesiastes is kind of like a kick in the face, kick in the butt, it's just but Ecclesiastes, I think it's 12. Is it 12:14? Can I pull it up?
Yeah, pull it up.
Can you look up Ecclesiastes 12:14?
Ecclesiastes 12:14.
I think
14, is it 4:12 or 12:14? No, it's 12:14.
12:14. I just want to get the number right, but Ecclesiastes 12:14 says, "For this is the entire duty of mankind, to fear the Lord and keep His commandments."
It says Ecclesiastes 12:14 is, "For God will bring every
Okay,
deed."
it might not be that. How many? It's the last 12:4. Try 12:4.
12:4.
It's 12:14.
What it is?
Wait, no.
12:4.
Is it 12:4?
It's the one before. It's 12:13.
Oh,
what does it say?
It
For this is the entire duty of mankind, fear the Lord and keep his commandments.
It's 13, verse 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was I right in what it says?
Yeah, for the most part, it depends on the
The
translation.
version.
Yeah, for this is the entire duty of mankind, fear the Lord and keep his commandments. And it's like, I think that's so true. It's like we have faith and we make the active decision to walk in obedience to the word of God. And it's like, when you do that, it's actually for the betterment of humankind. If you believe what I believe. But I also like Philippians 4:6. It's what I have tattooed on my arm. And the version that I like reading of it is, my mind's going blank. The version I like reading of it is, do not worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all that he does. So,
yeah. Tell me a little bit more about, Honey Rock Media. Okay. Mm-hmm. Why the name and what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So, dude, I'll be honest with you. My wife picked it. We were just like trying to come up with a name. We like really earthy stuff. So, honey and a rock is like very earthy. We like that sort of thing, but then we also wanted to connect it to the Bible. And so in one of the Psalms, it talks about how the Lord fed the Israelites with honey from the rock. And so you'll have to read the whole Psalm. It's not like a specific verse. It's like the whole story of that Psalm, and the Israelites kind of just being the Israelites and being in a moment of disobedience and the Lord still providing anyways, and so it's like provision. So it's faith rooted, but it also kind of went with just like things we enjoy. We were looking into things that were like stone and rock and earth, or not earth, not in like that kind of way, but just like, we just like earthy things. We're very natural people, organic people. Like we've got a homestead with chickens and goats and a garden and all the fun things. And so it's like, we just like organic, natural things, including honey and rocks. So
if you're looking, let's say, imagine you're at the end of your career and you're looking back. What do you think would have mattered most? Like not the views, not the metrics or the revenue, but what would have mattered most?
What would have mattered most
at the end of your career?
At the end of my career. So if I'm, say however many years down the road, and I'm looking back and it's like, what mattered the most? Dude, I actually think if I was to look back at the end of my career, I would look at the amount of time that I spent working that I could have spent doing things that were more important than work. And I think that's what will probably sting the most, if that makes sense. But I think there's going to be so many good things when I look back too. There's gonna be so many good things when I look back, but I also think that, I just hope that I don't get there and I look back and I'm like, man, I spent a lot of time doing the wrong things. But it's again a catch-22 because I learned from every wrong decision or every, like, how would I know that I wanted to spend more time with my family if I didn't have some nights where I ended up working when I should have spent time with my family? And then that feeling overcomes me of like, man, maybe let's actually try next time to spend more time with the family. It's like, how can you have hot without cold? You wouldn't have any idea of what cold was if you had never felt something hot, So for me, it's just a constant battle, man, of like working too much and being with family. And I have to actively work at it.
Yeah.
I think it's something nice we can all say, but the reality of it is like, it's a battle.
Yeah. It's funny in the book, The Top Regrets of the Dying, one of the main ones is, I wish I didn't work so hard or so much. And it's interesting because like I even find myself like just constantly working. It's like, well, how important is this? And it's like Jesus had his ministry that he had to work on, and it's like being able to take the time and see that he stopped and he rested. And it's like it was the Son of God, and he rested in the work of the ministry that he was in that never stops, never ends. There's always more people to heal. There's always more people to bring to Jesus. It'll uplift their faith, to preach. There's always something more you can do. And he took the time to rest. And I think I have to look at that myself just to look at that picture.
Dude, people our age, it's hard because we're immediately placed into a society where things are fairly expensive. So it's like you come out of college or you come out of, whatever situation you're in, and it's like a mortgage is expensive, rent is expensive. There's a lot of expenses, insurances, things that you have to get. And it's like, so then we resort to hustle. And I think that there may sadly be a lot of people that get to the end of their career and have that feeling. And I think one of the greatest things we can do is like recognize that early on and just work at it in the present. Like we've talked a lot about that on this episode, is like stopping, slowing down. And I think a lot of people, young people in general, are kind of recognizing that, hey, this is actually kind of bad, can be bad for you. Yeah. It's so funny, like the different phases that I see like people in life go through. It's like, all right, in this era of the 2000s, this was the trend, or then, this was the trend. It's like, I honestly think that a lot of young people are realizing that there is bigger things in life than work, but also work is something you have to do in order to live in today's society. And so it's like finding a balance is huge, and understanding your strengths and weaknesses. And again, like I said, one of my weaknesses is working too much. And that's why I've talked about it a lot on this, because all my friends know, all the people I work with know, it's like, that's what I work with, or that's what I struggle with. And so, so yeah, I mean, it's something I've gotten better at. Something I hope I'm always getting better at, is not working too much.
Yeah. Is there anything else like that's important to you that you want to share before we end? Or it's like, is there anything comes to mind at all? Or
no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think I mean, I want to say thanks to you. Like, you do phenomenal work, and it inspires me. We've had some great conversations, just over coffee over here in the coffee shop, where we've talked about some things. And I guess, yeah, maybe I do have something. It's just find good community, finding good community and good people. It's easy to be isolated in today's world, stuck behind a screen, stuck in a cubicle, but finding good people with the same values as you, and lifting one another up, super important. It's bigger than anything that we do in our work and our jobs. I mean, we're not taking any of that stuff with us. You don't get to take any of the material things in life with you when you go to the grave, when you go meet the Father in heaven. It's like, you don't get to take any of your earthly belongings with you. So it's like, focus on the right things. Focus on the people you encounter. That's more important. I think when we get to the end of our life, we're going to think about that stuff more too. The people we encountered rather than the things that we acquired, maybe.
That's good. All right.
Are we done?
We're done.
Dope.
That's it. Thanks, Trey.
Bro,